guys, it's Horsey Steph and I am back with Horse Trainer Reacts to Heartland, and today we are reacting to Season 1 Episode 3. This is part 4 of Episode 3, so if you missed the other segments, be sure to check out that description box down below where I have a link to my playlist which includes all of my Horse Trainer Reacts to Heartland series. If you guys could go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for future videos, that would help me out so much. And without further ado, let's jump right in and see how this episode continues. This is already leagues better than what she had when she first met this horse, because they literally just picked up the saddle and Promise was already panicking and losing her mind. So she's clearly made some progress. I think this was supposed to be her first session with this horse, but progress has been made regardless. And maybe they're not pretending this is her first session, but it would surprise me if they weren't kind of showing the first step. That's like the most interesting, right? The first and the last step. The middle part is the part I imagine they're gonna completely cut out. I think that's a really good idea, to go back to the horse's past and see if you can figure out what was working for them then that isn't working now, or what might have happened to trigger this behavior. Obviously, that's not normally an option. I mean, if you can just talk to the old owner and be like, well, yeah, we did this differently and it worked great, you don't really have a problem on your hands. So as a trainer, I don't really see those situations, but would probably be my first thing, like, what caused this? Because the easiest way to fix a problem is to know the cause and just go back and correct it. But I'm curious to see if she learns anything from going into this horse's past and figuring out what was working or not working before this new owner bought the horse.
It's like dancing with a girl who's way better at the steps than you. She leads. No mistake, she's the boss.
So that is interesting that she was ridden by this blind boy and he sold her because he moved and I guess probably didn't have room to keep a horse at the new place. So she's very much used to being the one in charge and keeping the rider safe. And so if somebody gets on and tries to control her, instead of having her keep the rider safe, they're telling her what to do and micromanaging her, she could get upset about that. I don't think it would cause such dramatic problems as we're seeing in her, because a horse that is safe and kind and able to take care of you is probably not a horse that's going to be extremely angry and upset if you try to give her too much information, unless you're like really abusing her, but I have trouble believing that happens. So certainly, like my mare Lucy, she's really fantastic with kids and beginners, because and honestly, people that are scared. She's really good with people that are scared too, because she knows she has to take care of them, so she feels confident and safe because she's the one in charge. But when you try to tell her you're in charge, she can get insecure and kind of act out because of that. That being said, like, Lucy will never, ever, ever let you fall unless it's like she can't avoid it. She really tries to keep you on her, even if you have upset her and pissed her off. She's not going to do something so dramatic that you come off of her. So that kind of horse I could see being difficult if you micromanage them. A horse like Lucy could maybe learn to be really good as a seeing eye horse and really take care of her rider, and then is difficult if you micromanage her. But again, she's not that bad, and I can't imagine her ever being that bad, and I don't think she has particularly the right temperament for a seeing eye horse. So a horse that's better suited to lead a blind boy, I can't imagine being this difficult just because somebody was a little bit harsh or a little bit micromanaging. I think you would have to have like actual systemic abuse to create this reaction, or some horrific accident that created trauma.
Yeah, when I was riding her, I should be asking her permission like it was a favor she granted me.
I think that anytime you ride, you should ask their permission, because horses allow us to ride them. I think a lot of times we forget that these horses don't have to let us ride. They don't have to let us do all the things we do with them. They allow us to. And when horses start saying, no, I don't want to, they have a right to say no. You know, just like you can't own another person, just like slavery is bad, why should we be able to own a horse in that way and take all of their voice away just because we paid money for them? It seems really wrong to me. This guy has it exactly right. You ask permission, you feel honored that the horse is willing to participate. You feel honored to be able to be part of this dance and lead this dance with the horse, but you're dancing, you're asking, you're allowing, you're feeling. And that to me is what's so incredible about riding. It's like no other sport, because you're not just participating. It's this really careful, fragile, beautiful balance of allowing and leading and asking and guiding and softening. And I mean, I could go on forever. It's just amazing, and this guy is just explaining it so well.
I rode a bareback with just a halter.
Alright, so now we finally have some sort of reason why Promise might be acting up. If he always rode her bareback in a halter, a saddle might be a really unfamiliar thing, and if you saddle a horse that's never been saddled, as if they've been saddled and ridden their whole lives, that could be really confusing and alarming and frightening. I mean, just like the first time you saddle a horse, you need to take a lot of steps to get there and do it in a specific way so as not to terrify and traumatize the horse. You would need to do that with Promise if she'd never been saddled, but if you bought her as a really safe, amazing riding horse, it would never occur to you to go through that process. You would just put the saddle on like ordinary, and probably did terrify her and create trauma. So now the pieces are starting to add up. I could see how that might happen. I'm not sure what Amy is actually doing right now. I think she might just be trying to create a safe space and connect with the horse before she gets on bareback. It surprises me a little bit that we would see that kind of horsemanship in this show, which already has shown us they do the whole join up thing, the whole like Monty Roberts training. So that is interesting. It's something I would do, so something I'm really appreciating. You can change so much for a horse by just breathing and creating safety in your space and building that safe space for the horse to express themselves, heal, release. I mean, that's really what's beautiful about horses, again, is that connection, and changing yourself can change them. So absolutely, when I'm working with problem horses, I spend a lot of time standing there just connecting with them and allowing what needs to happen. Sure enough, she's gonna get on bareback, and I think that's the right thing to do. If we know this horse was always good bareback in a halter, why would that have changed? And certainly I would do this cautiously and carefully, because maybe something did change, but would absolutely be my first step in trying to fix this horse, would be to make sure it felt safe, make sure I didn't see any signs of tension or alarm or anger from the horse, and slowly get on bareback and see if I could ride her bareback. Because once you have that trust and foundation with a horse, it's going to be easier to start to add equipment and show the horse that really nothing is different just because I've put a saddle on under me. I'm still riding you exactly the same. And she didn't mind that at all. That was so amazing. And I gotta say, Amy can get on those horses well, because I have tried to learn that trick forever. I cannot get on a horse from the ground bareback to save my life. I need something, a stool, a fence, something to get on. So props to her. I found that extremely difficult. I've tried so long to learn how to do that, and I cannot. I just cannot. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten halfway up and like fallen under my horse trying to learn that trick. And eventually I gave up. It's not meant to be. I can't do it. I will say, when she was riding bareback, you could tell she was having trouble staying on that trot. She was kind of holding onto that mane, hanging on for dear life. So clearly, as a rider, this actor is not as skilled as, you know, most people grew up riding would be, which is totally understandable, since I believe she learned to ride for this role. So they did a good job of just not showing it a whole lot and showing mostly like her leg and the horse's body, not her bouncing on the back hanging on, and cut to something else, because it wasn't super important for the movie to show a lot of that, just to show us real quick that Promise really was good to ride bareback, nothing dramatic happened, and then move on. And now that she's approaching all of this really slowly and with the understanding that the mare just doesn't know what a saddle is, it's going so much better. This is exactly how I would do this process. I would create that safe space and then just introduce whatever was scary, wait for the horse to be completely relaxed before moving it closer, eventually putting it on, again waiting for the horse to be completely relaxed every step of the way, until eventually the horse is saddled and everything is going well. You can see with the saddle she's still a little bit nervous, but she's built up trust with Amy, so she's allowing it to happen. And I would suspect that a lot of people think this is the part of the movie that's unrealistic. Actually, this is the part of the movie that is totally realistic. If you do the training right, you create a safe space, and do every step of the process slow enough, listening to the horse and allowing and creating space for them to release all of this tension and emotion, it can be exactly that undramatic to move through trauma and essentially release trauma in the horse. This would take hours, and I doubt you would get this done in just one sitting. It's certainly possible. It depends on how bad the trauma is and also how long you have in the day, but it would be an extremely time-intensive process. So I would guess most people would not sit down and do this in just one day, but I think it's plausible. I could certainly see you being able to do it in one session, just taking a lot longer than that. But we all understand in this show that they're not saying this happened in 5 minutes. So it's very realistic, actually much more realistic than any other training we've seen in this show so far. I'm extremely impressed. You could see her get a little bit worried about all of that. But again, Amy's kept it all under threshold. She's doing it all slow enough that Promise can process and think through what's happening instead of going right over threshold into panic. I would probably have a mounting block and like lay over the saddle and kind of put my leg over and back a couple times and like go through the process as if I'm starting a horse versus just like swing up from the ground and hope it all works. But certainly I could see it working out. I'm a very cautious person. I have been dumped enough times. I used to be foolish and just not care if the horse was gonna blow up or not. Now I'm very cautious. I know what kind of toll it takes on your body to put yourself in danger, and it's so unnecessary that again, I'm extra cautious. I take it slow because I don't want to get hurt, and you know, it works out. You can prevent getting hurt with horses in 99% of cases, except those like freak accidents. So I probably wouldn't do it this way, but certainly I like how she's kind of paused halfway on to getting on and checking in with the horse, making sure the horse is okay. So she is taking all the necessary steps and really watching the horse and feeling what's happening with the horse to keep the horse safe and secure. I just feel like you have less control of your own body in this situation, so it would be a little bit harder to backtrack if you were starting to bring the horse up to threshold. And now the mare is completely fixed, and that's just so cool. Again, super realistic. I'm not shocked that they were able to do this by just taking the time, starting with something the horse was familiar with, and going through the process slowly and staying under threshold the whole time. But definitely makes for a great open house, which I assume is what this is because there's now a bunch of people here. Because everyone kind of knows this reputation of this mare being impossible. So certainly is a great way of being like, you know what, guys, I'm really good at what I do and I can work magic, essentially. Which, again, absolutely true. A good trainer can make training look like magic. The horse just all of a sudden doesn't have any of the issues because they've taken the time to listen to the horse, create a safe place, and allow the horse to release tension and trauma. Alright, so that was so cool to see how Amy worked with Promise and got her feeling a lot better about being ridden and a lot better about being saddled and bridled and just kind of the normal horse stuff that she was expected to do in her new home. I am extremely impressed with how Amy worked with Promise, and it shows me a whole different side to her other than the whole Monty Roberts join up thing, which we all know I absolutely despise and can't stand. What she did with Promise was real good quality horsemanship and the kind of stuff I really enjoy seeing, and I wish I saw a lot more in the horse world. So that was really exciting. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And I can't wait to finish this episode off and just see how it all ends. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.